evil has to run its course. In an evil culture, evil is rewarded. And in this culture, as long as Europeans dominate, then the sex imperative is going to continue to progress in their direction. So we have to recognize that as long as these people are in charge, then the world is going to move in the direction of their sense of reality, their interpretation of reality, their sense of progress, their sexual idiosyncrasies is going to move in that direction because they are in charge and they feel that they are correct. So things are going to move in the direction that they want them to go. That's the bad side. The good side is that we recognize that there's a problem and that we have to do something about it. Now, part of that is bad also because, well, not so good. And the part of that that's not so good is that a lot of us, because of the onslaught, the massive amount of literature and media attention and all the rest of that comes that makes us think that there is still progression in this direction. Many of us, it depresses many of us. It causes many of us to doubt whether we're right or whether we can become successful. I'm beginning to ask people to think about it another way, another logical way. If you are not moving in the direction that Europeans want us to go, then you are progressing in an African direction. We measure our progress based upon what they're telling us or what they're showing us is happening. We're not measuring it based upon what we are doing as individuals in terms of moving away. So we have to measure it based upon that, not based upon what they're showing us, but based upon us not doing what they tell us to do or what they're directing us to do. That's progress. That's major movement away, and we're not used to measuring things in that direction. So if I refuse to do what Europeans are doing, even if they got an army around me, I'm progressing. I'm moving in an African direction automatically, but we're not used to thinking in those terms. The positive out of this is that there are many of us who are moving, who are mobilizing our resources to provide safe, secure areas, places, reading materials, etc., for our sons and daughters to recognize that they don't have to be European to be human. That they don't have to be these beasts in order to be, sane. That the African way is sane. That it is sanity, that it is safety, that it is security. The problem with that, of course, is that they're greatly outnumbered. But when children know that you operate in their best interest, when they know that you're telling the truth, then they will pursue that. Now, they might have to put on a mask when they go outside and deal with their peers, but in their hearts, they know and they understand what they are and what they're supposed to be, and they will teach that, they will pass that on. They will help us to create those safe spaces that we need to raise their children in and for them to be raised in. So I think that we're being effective. It just appears because of the overwhelming number of folks who do not understand and do not know, who are moving in the European direction. That makes it appear as if we are not making progress. But I think that we are. We have to also, those of us who are working against that European insanity, we have to recognize that everybody can't be saved. My mother should tell me there are casualties in every war. And this is a war. This is a war against Africans. And we are fighting back with all of our might. And we're going to have casualties within this conflict. The best that we can do, and I think it is, and I'm not saying it like, well, this is it, this is the last thing. No, I said the best that we can do is to protect those young folks who recognize that something is wrong from that insanity, to continue to tell them what we need for them to know. We may not see evidence of the effect of what we're saying at this particular point in time, but it's there. And if they don't want to use it now, it will be in their heads when they need to use it. So the fight is like, in our tradition and in the tradition of many indigenous folks, when you did something that was supposed to be of consequence, you always measured what you were doing based upon its impact on your people 7 generations down the road. So we have to look at it like that. Akaban Institute isn't, changing the African community in Atlanta in a general sense, but we're looking at this like, okay, the children that we are raising as warriors, that we're educating as warriors, when their time comes, and when their children's time comes, when their children's time comes, 7 generations down the road, there won't be any question in their mind about who they have to deal with and how they have to deal with these people.
Yes.